Right, so I think this is our audience, is it? Is this everyone? I'm supposed to keep the door open. But, so, welcome to this session on OAI harvesting pure records into Primo. I wouldn't say I was an expert at this, so there may be a few errors in my slides. But okay, so. And there are quite a few of these slides, so we might have to skim through them. This first one is just giving some information about Royal Holloway. Obviously that's me, Peter Kiely, Library Systems Manager. The central thing about this information is that we're a research-intensive university, and we're heavily investing in our campus. We've got a new library and student services building which is nearing completion. And we're actually going to be moving in the 19th to 20th of August, so it's a bit hectic at the moment. Lots of things changing. Okay, so our current research information system is CRIS. Is it CRIS or is it CRIS? Yeah, but it's called Pure. It's not called CRIS. It is actually a CRIS. So how many people here have Pure as their? Oh, right, so there are quite a few. And how many people are actually harvesting the data in at the moment? Okay, that's excellent. And other people, are you harvesting your data in from your CRIS as well? To a certain extent, or just starting? Because we've only just done it recently. Okay, let's move to second. So, what are the harvesting options from Pure? Well, essentially, the OAI endpoint provides two options. It will give you Dublin core metadata, or it will give you mods metadata. And the obvious choice would be to use Dublin core, but because it's like an out-of-the-box template, normalization template. In Primo, but the problem is with the data is that the publication type was not accurately identifying the publication, so it was like thesis, it was identifying as book, and nobody seems to be able to change the pure metadata. Well, I don't know, Elsevier has to do it or something, so we couldn't really use Dublin core because we wanted to identify theses in particular as a separate publication type. So what we had to do was use mods. We had to use mods data because it accurately identifies the publication type. And obviously it's much richer data mods. So we had to do the normalization from scratch because selecting data from the mods metadata, it requires not only to use the name of the field, but also attributes of the field as well to select the data. And therefore, we have to use the complex XML template in Primo to construct the rules. So at the bottom here, you can. I don't want to linger too long here, but here's the mods field for the publication type. You see genre is the actual field name, and then you have the type is an attribute, publication type is attribute, and then the actual value is doctoral thesis. And what we have to do in the complex XML template, it allows you to use XPath statements. In this case, to select this particular value, you use this XPath statement here, mods, and then you've got your attribute value here. So that's how you would select it. And maybe I'll get onto that in a bit more depth, but not really. Perhaps I'll just have to skim through it. But so that's essentially why we chose mods. It was really the publication type. And I think, do most people know about viewing PNX records? I mean, the PNX record is the Primo normalised XML, it's the outcome of the normalisation process, which in the normalisation session we had sort of quite a lot of detail on that. And we have the PNX viewer in Primo, which we use to view records. But you can also use a JavaScript bookmark to just view the PNX record from if you're doing a search. So you can also use a JavaScript bookmark. And essentially, writing normalization rules just means going through methodically through each section of the PNX record and testing each rule as you write it. So it's fairly methodical. And but the easiest way to look at the whole process is to look at the pipe configuration wizard, because that has all of the steps in it for publishing a data source. So yeah, so that's what it says there. So instead of actually, I've listed them there, but maybe what I could do is just come out here for a minute and go to the actual Primo sandbox, and it's in the ongoing configuration wizards. You have a pipe configuration wizard here, and essentially it has all the steps. You've got the data configuration, source configuration here, scope, then the rules, the rule mapping tables for the normalization, then you've got the normalization rules, enrichment sets we don't use, and then you've got the actual pipe configuration there. So you start off with data source configuration. It will click and display something. Seems to be working. Oh yeah, good. So actually we've got two in here. So I think it's this one we use. Oh no, it's a doubling core one, so it's the mods one. Sorry, this is my test environment, so I've obviously not given them. So with this mods one, so I think. Yeah. Well, I think they're both the same actually, but it does use the you have a thing called a file splitter, and it does use the OAI file splitter, the same file splitter as doubling core, but it just has a different starting point for the record. So it would be mods::mods. That's the marker for the start and the end of the record in file. So that's data source. I don't know, I seem to have lost it again. And then, so where are we again? Pipe configuration wizard again. Second one is scope. So we have the scope here. Let's see, scope. Yes, so essentially it's just going to write that value to wherever scope's required. It's going to write that's our scope for the pure data source. So that's going to just write that. So we have to define that. And then, so I'm just trying to be methodical. Then we have mapping tables. For example, we have the resource types mapping table for the pure records, just here, so let's edit that. So essentially, this is the data you get in the mods record. So it will have for the publication type, it will have chapter peer reviewed, and then we convert that to the Primo book_chapter. And for instance, doctoral thesis, we convert to dissertation, to the standard Primo resource types. So that's that. And then once you've done, and there are obviously other mapping tables as well, but which are related to the process. But then you're on to the normalization rules. I think I'll just quickly go back to my presentation here. So that's essentially what I was saying in these slides. So we're doing okay so far. That's the second part. So then we're on to normalization. So you create a new normalization rule set at the bottom of the normalization rule set page. So we'll have a look at that in a minute. We essentially duplicate the complex XML template, and then we create normalization rules for each PNX section. And these are important sections that display links, search, facets, delivery, and scoping. So they're the sort of the ones that I think are the most important. So what I'll do is I'll just go back to my test Primo again, and the rules here. So to create a new rule set at the bottom. So then we just select complex XML template, then we give it a new name, and we create it. So that's how we created this rule set. And it has complex XML there. So essentially, we edit it. So it starts with the top section, the control section, which has some odd things because it gets values from the config as well. Anyway, I think that's largely filled out for you. You don't really need to do much with the control section. But if you go to display, obviously this is where the display type is important. So this is where we selected the publication type from the XML. So we look at this one. Now you notice here the type is complex XML, and then you've put an XPath statement in here. So that's the XPath statement. Genre, publication type with the attribute publication type. Then I lowercased it, and then just used the mapping table, which is the pure mods resource types mapping table. So to get the Primo value for the resource type, and then I added a constant on the end to say other if it couldn't find any matches. So you can test it, but I'm not sure the testing step on here is very good, but it does give output. So I've got a mods record here, so I'm not quite sure why it doesn't work properly, but you see here, this is a dissertation. This record it's for a thesis. It's actually in the mod stage it's a thesis, but it produces the value dissertation. So that's what that rule does. So then I need to get that's a new screen, so I can close that. So if we go back again, there are just display. So we've got all the fields here. Creator there are some complicated sort of XPath statements. There are complicated ones, but quite a lot of them are fairly straightforward, and they're just usually copy as is. Most of them, but they're just a few things like publication type where you might need to look up in a table. These ones are quite complicated. Creator and contributor. So let's have a look at this one just to quickly. It's hard to see this, so make it larger. So here you can put in. This is not the whole statement, so let's get it out. Now what we need is something to display it in. What can we use? Yes, use Notepad. Actually, extra stuff in here. A new thing. Just put it in here. Still a bit. Because I can magnify it. I think it's very good. Well, good. Maybe I should bring it down. I shouldn't make it too long on this because I don't really have the time. But where's the zoom gone? And then once
down, 5 down.
5 down, yeah, that's it. And then it's control wheel. It's the wheel, isn't it? Oh no, it's not the wheel. Okay. So
It might be control wheel.
Oh, control wheel. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you're right. Anyway, probably spending too long on this because it's quite a lot of work to do this stuff. But essentially here, it uses conditions. It's looking in the role term here. It's looking in a node called role term, and it uses the conditions authority equals pure role and equals author. So the role term has to have these two attributes, and then what it does is use the relative part to get to the name part for the author. So it's quite tricky, but anyway, that's enough. That's essentially what we need to do: is go through methodically selecting all the values for each section. So let's have a look. Let's go back to our thing again. From here. So that's just the display type, and we tested the rule. So that's essentially what we did there. That's the creator. It's a bit more complicated, but XPath is a standard thing. So you can usually Google, you need a solution for something, and it probably produce something similar. So you can base your rule on. And a lot of them, as I say, a lot of the fields are just copy as is, so it's fairly straightforward. And I think it was mentioned in the normalisation rule session before that you can reuse PNX field values. Once you've created display creator, if you want to use search in the search section, you can just reuse the PNX thing you've already done later on. So. Again, linking is obviously quite important because all of these records, they link out to Pure to display the full text links. There's no full text. That's where the full text is held, so they have to link out. So essentially, you can add parameters at the beginning and end of. You get the value, the normalised value, which is the link, and then you can add $U, for instance, to the beginning of the link, which says it's the start of the link, and then $E to end the link, so it just identifies it as a link to Primo, and then you can also add a label to the normalised data. And the label is converted by looking up in the code table. So here you've got an example of the code table here. You've got the actual label which you put into the normalised data here, and then it will say links to a Holloway search. So if we maybe we just do a quick look in the actual library Primo search. So let's do that. Type it properly. It's very hard to type in this. Whoops. Get that in there. There we go. So, I can in fact, I can search for Royal Holloway search.
Can you just move this? Oh no!
Oh dear, we've lost the recording.
Trying to get help that.
Sorry?
It didn't stop the recording.
Oh, so they got me going, oh dear. I'm sure that's going to appear on Twitter or Facebook. So we can actually search for all the Royal Holloway search records. You just search, and this one is the dissertation. So if I go into the full record, you can see there you've got that's the label is converted to this link to Royal Holloway Research. So, but actually we could go and let's have another look at the rule. So that would be in the link section. uses a complex identifier field type URI to get the link, and then to edit it. And then it adds to the beginning of the string $$U, adds to the end of the string $$E, and then puts the label in. So that's how you get that link. So that's that. And I think we're close to ending our session, but I'll just have a look at this again and see if there's anything. So far it's all been fairly accurate, so it's good. This one is not accurate. This is one because we tend not to in the search. So I mean, search is very important as well. So you've got to give some thought to this. But obviously, these fields in the PNX record, search scope. Well, this field is search scope. Has to have the right scopes in. So this would be a search if you wanted to search it just in the research collection, which we currently don't. But this scope is for our books and more thing search. So it essentially would include research results and books and more. And this is our all search. So the results will appear in the all search. But the thing I slightly made an error here because these are scopes, so we don't actually use scopes, but essentially we just copy our scope values across, and it's the same scope values at the moment, but obviously might use them in the future. So right, and what else we've got? That's just a facet, creating a facet. And, you have to, in the PNX record, you have to populate the facets collection field. And so what we did is we essentially, it does a lookup data source mapping table. So actually, I'm not sure this is the proper use of a mapping table, because you really should have a code table. You should create some sort of label or something. But this does an actual direct lookup. So it looks up the source code for the pure sort of data source, and then actually replaces it with one Holloway research, and that's using a mapping table. So. And I suppose I ought to finish there because we're getting quite close to the end. So it's good. I wonder if I think that's all I was doing. Oh no, there was one other thing about pipes. Yeah, creating. I think I don't know if everyone was in the normalisation. No, obviously not. Everyone was not in the normalisation session. So I quickly skip to the pipes. Just briefly mention the pipes. Okay. Oh yeah, pipes. So essentially a regular pipe, we create a regular pipe for updates. So data source there, the normalization rules there, and we had the address to the OAI endpoint, and then we chose mods data format, and then we chose the set. Because another slightly annoying thing about Pure is the sets. There isn't a set for the thesis, for example, so it's just publications, so you just have to choose, you just have to have a set for all the publications. Well, as far as I know, and somebody's reconfigured their Pure to have sets, but we don't. Yeah, so regular, there's no harvesting for renormalising when you've changed normalisation rules. Right. There's delete and reload as well, because that just resyncs it. Those are essentially, and I've got delete one as well, because we want to get rid of it. So that's about it. So I think I will stop there, because I think it needs to be Robert's session, otherwise we won't get any lunch.